is going to now talk about, you just want to start the seed right in the dirt from the get-go. And talk a little bit about when you start. It was interesting, when Caleb came and talked last year, he threw out a challenge of just anybody that actually eaten out of their yard, thinking nobody would have. Up came Barbara, one of us. So she's pretty much eating out of her yard year-round.
Well, not year-round, but pretty close, pretty soon. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, you can go ahead and start. I want to open by, and this is what I told to Derek, have you ever gone to Walmart or a nursery to say, oh, sorry, which way? They're videotaping me, so I've got to get in the same spot. Have you ever gone to the grocery store, to nursery, and looked at the plants and said, okay, I'm going to have this plant in my garden this year? So you want to get the bigger pot because it's a bigger plant, and you'll get nicer fruit early. Well, if you get the 6-pack, you get 6 plants, and it's cheaper usually. So I thought, how do they get that? How do they do that? You start your seeds early. Last year I started my tomatoes on January 19th, and they did well. But I was very willing to transplant them 3 or 4 times to bigger pots because they outgrew themselves very quickly. So the first thing I'm going to open with is a biodome. I have some, I don't use them anymore, but it's an example. If you want to go pro, you can purchase them. They're expensive, but you can do the same thing if you do any Tupperware with a hard plastic bottom. I do want to emphasize, though, that the dome is unique because it keeps the humidity in the container. And the nice thing about that is that the humidity is going to keep your seeds warmer. They'll germinate a little bit faster. Go ahead. I've used these rotisserie chicken containers. They're croissants or the cookies that you buy from the deli. They're great too. Okay. The safest way, and Lara had already mentioned this, is to bottom water your seeds. And so a great way to figure out how or what time it is to water, if you need to water, fill your soil into your containers. I'll get to that in a second. And feel it before you put the water in it. Feel how the weight feels to you. Then add the water for the very first time before you even do the seeds. And then you can tell how heavy it is. It's worked for me, but you may have a better chart or planner or way to do it, and that's fine too. Another way, you can go down to the subject. I did these last year, they're fun. The carrots, I don't recommend doing them because they got knocked over too many times and they were too sensitive. However, I did peppers and onions and cilantro, lots of herbs. They grew great. It was cheap, it was just something I had seen and tried it, and it worked, I could do it. So it's an idea.
Describe briefly what you did.
Oh, sorry. Soda bottles, cut off the bottom, flipped them over, used the bottom to hold them up so that they didn't fall over. They could stand up straight. And I just put a cup over it. Or you can use seal wrap because it presses against the side and keeps the humidity in, and that's great. Okay. I do want to say why, well, on this one, and I've tried it and it works fine, but there's a lot of easier methods. If you happen to have a water bottle, a really large one that has ridges or a flat edge, it's great to be able to start seeds in this and cut it open, put your soil mix in it and start your seeds. You will have to transplant them, so if you're not willing to do that, choose a newspaper method. It's a little bit easier. It's a little bit better not to have to touch it too much. Go ahead. When you're choosing your seeds, you're going to have lots of seeds in your packet. Most seeds are generally the same. However, if you really want to choose your best, at the very beginning, look at them. Small ones, they might still germinate, but you're going to get a better plant from a larger seed. So look at them and maybe weed them out. You can go ahead and try and germinate them, see if the little one germinates faster. Use that one then, but it's an idea to go forward with. Okay. You know, I think you may find that they may germinate, they may not. Half the time they don't.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. What's wrong with the bent seeds? They're generally not as good. Vermiculite is something that I am sold on using now. I didn't know about it before, but I love it. And the reason why it's so great is because it retains and holds the moisture. When I plant my seeds, I start, I don't know where my plate went. Oh, here it is. I use a styrofoam plate. I put my seeds on it, and I cover it with saran wrap. I write with a ballpoint pen right on the edge the date and the variety of what it is, and I have stacks of them on my refrigerator simply because I don't want anybody to touch them. And I'll just pull them out regularly, lift it up, see if anything's growing. If it's not, put it back up. If it is, it gets to come out to the window where I have a beautiful, warm, sunny windowsill. Once they're long enough, then I will transplant them into a cup. And I have normally done only vermiculite, but I'm going to try doing the potting soil mixed with vermiculite. And I really emphasize the vermiculite because it retains moisture and does so well.
Talk briefly on why the top of the fridge, because even Cook's greenhouse said starting on top of the fridge, not only is it out of the way, but the heat comes up.
You know, they say heat. My refrigerator retains its own energy. I don't know where the heat is because it's not up on top of the fridge.
If you've got it underneath a cabinet cover, sometimes it'll come up from behind and then
That's
warm the
true.
seeds. So anyway,
That's true.
That's actually,
That's true.
I just heard that yesterday. So yeah,
Yes.
put it on top of the fridge.
So are you saying that you're putting vermiculite on that plate up to the left?
No, my plate is just seeds and water. Sometimes I will put a paper towel over it to keep some moisture in there, but generally you don't need to. I can spray some water on there, and because it's styrofoam, it retains it, and when I put this seal wrap on it, the water stays there, and you can see it stays for days, and I don't need to do a thing. I don't ever need to add water. However, when I do take them out and put them in their own little planting soil pot, I will cover it with vermiculite in the soil. I mean, not cover it, but mix it in. One of the things that I do when I plant carrots outside, though, that I am sold on doing because it works so wonderfully, I dig a little trench, and then I put some vermiculite, scatter my seeds. Then I put a little bit more vermiculite, water it, wait till they sprout, and then I keep adding back into the little trench. And so the soil I know is mixed very thin, it's pliable, and the vermiculite keeps the moisture there that those seeds need. So that's a great idea. Okay. If you've ever had a yogurt container, or you can use any container, a plastic cup, I've used these. I like the newspaper pots a little bit better. However, I use whatever I can. Whatever's in the window or in the sink, I'll use it if I can. But after I sprout them, and I'm transplanting them, one of the unique things about having it in a plastic cup is that I can take it outside, cut off the bottom, stick it in the ground. I want to leave it raised up because I'm preventing bad bugs. And cutworms, snails, slugs, you name them. They're there, even if you don't think they are, or don't see them, they're there. And this will help protect your seedlings a little bit longer. Yes?
Earwigs.
Earwigs?
Do they come on top?
Yes, they can. But I haven't had a problem with their seedlings. The earwigs usually don't come out until it's a little bit warmer, so I haven't had a problem.
The best thing I've found to use with earwigs is diatomaceous earth.
Really?
Really.
Diatomaceous earth for earwigs. So if you're not familiar with diatomaceous earth, it is Dead Sea shells, I guess, crushed up really fine. Yes, they sell stuff for the pool. Don't use that. Get some other organic. But diatomaceous earth is perfectly organic. It's great to use. It will dry your skin out. And if you lived in the South, it's excellent against fleas. I've used it. Gets rid of them. Okay. Another one thing that I love to do is start my garden early so I can get out there and get going. And so potatoes can be started ahead of time by chitting them. The word chit simply means to just start them growing, sprout them. And it only takes a few weeks, it doesn't take very long. So you really don't want to do it too early. Sorry, I'm moving on for video. Save your eggshell carton. Put your potatoes cut up in here and just put it on the fridge. Don't even water it, don't worry about it, don't think about it, and it will grow. From each eye, little sprouts will grow. And just let them grow. And then when it's time, you can go out and plant them. Last year, I did a fabric bag. It was a lot bigger than this for my potatoes, so I could do it inside and then move it outside. It wasn't too heavy yet because it didn't have very much dirt. I piled dirt in it once I got it outside, and it worked great for me.
So do you put the dirt in it before you plant it?
I sprout the potatoes. I get the little eyes growing on the potatoes.
Yeah, but you put any soil in the bottom.
I do not put any soil in the bottom of the egg carton at only started growing, and then I put soil when I originally planted, when I'm putting them in the dirt. Sorry. Does that answer that? Okay. I know that sweet potatoes, some people haven't tried them. They do grow here in Utah. You do have to start them fairly early. And some people don't know that you don't just sprout, you don't plant the whole potato as you do with regular potatoes. You have to grow slips, and it does take a long time. Sweet potatoes generally take about 100 to 110 days for maturity. So you do need to get going on them with the slips well before they're even going to go outside. I know that Sue Roper had brought some to show, not to give out, but just to show people what it looks like. And so what she did was make these slips, put them in dirt. They're then going to be planted into a larger area where they'll grow the sweet potatoes. I love, oh yes.
I didn't understand what you said you do with that bag. So you put the potatoes in there after they're sprouted and you do what with them?
Okay, I'm gonna back up. What I do with this bag is, I used a much larger bag when I did my potatoes. I sprouted the potatoes inside. I put about 2 inches of dirt and vermiculite in my bag. I also used plastic trays so that I could carry them wherever I wanted to. And it also helped retain moisture. And then as the sprouts grew taller, I added dirt, as you do whenever you grow potatoes. So by the time the season was done, my potatoes were very tall, the bag was full. And no, yes, but not in this small bag.
What's the question?
Sorry. Did I plant potatoes in just the small bag? No, I did not. I actually grew broccoli in this, and it was wonderful. Does that answer your question? Does everybody understand what I'm talking about with the potatoes? Yes, I started them. Yes, yeah, I'm sorry. I started the potatoes inside in a bag, and then I moved them outside when it was warm enough for them. And left them in my, it's a special cloth bag. If you want to come and look at it, it's even got roots still on the bottom from the broccoli. So it's just what I did.
Put this like in your garden or just on some?
Did I put it in my garden? I don't have a big enough garden. My parents told me that I didn't get a big enough sandbox to dig in when I was a kid because I love the dirt and I don't have enough. I won't take out lawn this year because I want to plant more. So I literally have these on rocks, on gravel pathways, outside of my garden boxes because I don't have enough growing space. I have to weed down and decide what gets to grow.
What is a slip?
A slip is what a sweet potato or yam grows. Just like a potato, can you go back one? If you'll notice on that potato, sweet potato, it's growing a little vine off the top, and that is a slip for a sweet potato. It will just twist right off, and you will not damage it or harm it.
Marvin, you cut the potatoes up?
Not on potatoes you do, but not on sweet potatoes.
When I get my slips, just to make sure that they're gonna root, I'll take them off, put them in some water, like a quart of water, and within 2 or 3 days, they have massive roots.
Yes, the roots grow very quickly. If you take them off of the potato, the sweet potato, and put them in water, they'll grow more roots that can then be planted.
Barb,
Yes.
also with the sweet potatoes, Rick has been growing sweet potatoes for decades. And we actually did them in container gardening. She was talking about that. And any of you that have seen our property, we have these big pots out in the front on the street. And so we've done in that way too, and they do just fine.
Are the potatoes, everybody understand? Any other questions? Yes. What's the best way to make potatoes or sweet potatoes? Sweet potatoes? It's best to buy an organic sweet potato. You could, have you ever gotten potatoes or sweet potatoes from the grocery store and forgot that you got that many and then found it was growing? They grow pretty easily on their own. However, some of them from the supermarket have growth inhibitors applied to them, and so you don't want that chemical with you. And so I wouldn't recommend that you buy or purchase grocery store food sweet potatoes. And you don't need to do anything special to grow those slips. They're in a dark, cool place. Time is about all it's going to take, and they will grow because that's their nature. They want to produce. That's what their aim and goal is. Does that answer your question? Okay, go ahead. On the milk jug, I like to plant things, start my seeds inside, and to enable them to go outside. In Utah, we have lake storms. Sometimes we can't predict. And I get very anxious and want to still just put my seedlings outside so that I can make more room for the more seedlings that I want to grow inside. So I use milk jugs. I cut them off, put them on top. I take the cap off so that it does not get too hot inside. And cool weather plants do very well. If my soil is too cold like this year, it will definitely be too cold. Once the snow is gone, I will cover my garden boxes with black plastic, and it will warm the soil very quickly. Well, more quickly than the sun just beating down on the dirt. So I cover them also with these milk jugs that are cut off the bottom so that it protects them from any other additional elements. Too much whatever, this helps save them. If I need to, I can take it off. I've witnessed in the past when I planted too early, if I didn't cover things, birds were a little hungry and they came and took the entire seedling away. This stopped them. This helped. I do take the cap off because I do not want it to be too hot inside my little mini greenhouse.
We used to do that all the time, only we take the cap off and we also cut a hole about like this in the top as well.
You cut a hole on the top, around the top?
Just on the side.
On the side? And why did you cut a hole on the side of the...
On the side, but on the top there.
Okay, oh, you cut another hole?
A hole about like this so it didn't get too hot. Because we also had it burn the plant.
Really? So she indicates that if they did not cut an additional hole in their milk jug, their plants got too hot. I've not had that problem, but maybe it, winter weather, weird years, but you never know. Okay. I often have a line of them out in my milk jugs, and they're just fine. Sometimes I'll just leave them right there and tip them over, and then go and tip them back over if I know a storm is coming. I can cover the seedlings if I have to. Okay. Dampening off. It's very unfortunate for somebody that has sprouted their seed, picked their seed, sprouted their seed, and waited, and calendared, and charted. Only to have this happen. It's a fungus that gets your seedling, and it can happen even to good expert gardeners, unless, and there's a few things that you can do. Control your watering. Bottom watering only is one key thing that helps. Always make sure that you have a sterile seed soil mixture when you begin your seeds. Do not use garden dirt. You need to prepare your soil so that you're free of any other funguses or bacteria that you can't see or know are there. I have tried this. I don't know if my plants are going to harden off. I tried it anyway, so I don't know if it protected them. I've only read about it. A tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide to a quart of water, and I misted it all around the soil on my seedlings. Past the sprouting point, it was when they were already repotted into their pots, while I was still waiting for the weather to warm before they went outside. And I did this because I was told that it would help take care of the hardening off.
With that, just make sure that I could always have the 1 tablespoon for the right amount of water because it doesn't provide material for holding your plant.
You've got to make sure that you are using at least a quart of water to your hydrogen, your tablespoon, 1 tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide. Okay. I think I have one more. If you ever are going to be gone for a long time, this is the one that I've cut. It's like a mini greenhouse, but just imagine that I have cut the bottom off of this. I go out and next to my tomatoes and peppers, a couple of other plants that I know need or are extra thirsty based upon when my watering time is. I don't water every day, obviously, in my garden, and I'm hoping that neither do you. But I'm going to take a trip, and I know that sometimes it gets hot, And if I'm not there to notice that my garden needs a little extra spritz of moisture, if I go out and bury this soda bottle or juice bottle and then fill that, I'll poke holes and it will slowly release water, extra water while I'm on vacation. This is just a little tip that I've done, it's worked for me.